In today's video, we're going to be talking all about dandelions. Dandelions have a bad reputation due to being viewed as relentless and prolific yard weeds. But they're actually superfood, nutrient-filled powerhouses, and they're incredibly beneficial for your soil. Their deep roots aerate the soil, and they draw up very beneficial deep nutrients, such as calcium, potassium, and iron to the soil's surface, and it helps improve soil composition. In fact, the presence of dandelions typically indicates that your soil is imbalanced in some way, or your soil is very compact and clay-like, or the soil is low in certain nutrients, and the dandelions are actually working to balance out the issue naturally. Once the soil composition begins to improve, dandelions usually start to recede on their own. I'm sure everyone knows how to identify dandelions because they grow literally everywhere. They're all over the world and they're especially abundant in cooler climates, but here are the specifics. The plant is arranged in a basal rosette, which means the leaves grow in a circular-like pattern and radiate around the base of the plant. The edges of the leaves are deeply toothed. They grow hollow stems that contain a milky sap and grow one single yellow flower per stem. Dandelions are also extremely nutritious. They're absolutely packed with vitamins K and A. They also contain calcium, potassium, and iron. They are very high in antioxidants, and their roots also contain prebiotic fiber. The entire plant, including the roots, is edible and can be eaten raw. Dandelions are also so versatile with what you can do with them. You can make a dandelion jelly, dandelion syrup. Some people dehydrate the dandelions and make a tea out of that. You can also eat the greens raw in a salad. Today, I'm going to be digging up some dandelion roots, and I'm going to show you how I make my dandelion root coffee. I'm getting ready to plant some vegetables in my garden this year, so I'm going to go out and weed the dandelions that are in my garden beds. This is so that my vegetables aren't competing for space with the dandelions. I'm going to leave the dandelions that are growing in my yard alone because I did notice some young wild rabbits have wandered into my yard, and they're just learning how to be independent and learning where to find food, and they did discover that my yard is a great food source. I'm very pro coexisting with wildlife, so I'm more than happy to share my yard weeds with these little rabbits, so I didn't want to take anything away from them. First, we need to dig up some dandelion roots. To make a decent amount of dandelion root coffee, you're going to need about 10 to 15 medium-sized roots. There weren't very many dandelions to weed out of my garden beds today, so evidently I don't have enough dandelion roots here to actually make a decent amount of dandelion root coffee. I already have some dried dandelion root coffee from another batch. This is just going to basically be a top-up. I don't like the idea of wasting, and they're so nutritious and so good for you. They're kind of like a bonus vegetable growing in your yard, so I wanted to utilize them in some way. After you've gathered the roots, make sure you give them a really good wash. Once they're all clean, chop them into smaller pieces. This will ensure that they roast faster. Pop them onto some parchment paper so they don't stick, and we're going to roast these low and slow. So I'm going to start my oven at about 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to roast these for about 4 hours. And when there's about 25 minutes left of roasting time, we're going to increase the temperature of the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason why we're roasting low and slow is because we really want to develop a nice depth of flavor. If you roast them too fast, you're not going to get a nice depth of flavor. Can you do this faster? Technically, yes. But will it taste as good? No. Roasting these dandelion roots low and slow is the key to really great flavor. As these dandelion roots are roasting, you're going to want to make sure that every 20 to 30 minutes or so, you give them a good stir just to make sure that they're not burning and that they're roasting evenly. You really want to make sure that they're roasted until they're browned, but they're not burnt black. Once the dandelion roots are done roasting, you're going to take them out of the oven and you're going to put them in a food processor or a coffee grinder or whatever you have on hand, and you're going to grind them into a powder. Put the ground dandelion roots in a filter and make your coffee. Add whatever you'd normally add to your coffee. I prefer mine black with just a little bit of sugar. This dandelion root coffee tastes so amazing. It's very earthy but has a slight chocolatey taste to it, and it's so good for you. And it's definitely worth the time it takes. Let me know in the comments what your favorite way to eat dandelions is. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.